and some of the things that you're dealing with. And I'd like to hear who's been doing some in-homes.
Haven't done one yet, but I scheduled one today for when we're back in Georgia.
Oh,
someone
good.
who I'd given the book to. Someone I'd given the book to, and they were interested in it, but didn't feel like this was the time. But they do use the products, and I know money's a bit of an issue, so I offered them a chance to get $225 worth of free products, and they jumped on it. So when we're in Georgia in 4 weeks,
very good.
I'll do a meeting for them. I told them Pam will be babysitting the grandkids, so they're going to get the B team, but my meeting will be shorter than hers, so that'll be a plus.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. So who else has set up an in-home or who has done one?
Roland, we haven't planned all the details, but the day we arrive in Atlanta, we're going to do a shake testing get together at Heather's. So we haven't put that all together yet, but that's the plan.
Okay, very good.
And then I have a gal not too far from here who's interested. I'm calling her after Labor Day to set the dates.
Okay. Very good.
When I told her how much free product she was getting, she went, "Oh, that's too good to turn down."
That's right.
And I've always had my eye on her anyway. So.
Very good. Well, I've been having fun with some in-homes and with other people who are doing in-homes in the group. And there are basically two things that I tell people are necessary in building an organization. One is to be totally coachable. And the other one is to be able to cast a vision. And learning how to cast a vision. So I just have been discussing that on a Zoom just a few minutes ago with some people. And they had a great question. They said, well, can you explain to me, after going through Presidential Master Builders, can you explain what it means to be able to picture where you want to be in the future? I don't know, Marion, could you mute your line? I think there's some feedback.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. So I gave an example of how that is so important to picture that result, to picture the feeling at that point. I don't know, what was it, 30 years ago that a man landed on the moon? Well, they had to picture as best as possible everything they would do, the type of the service, so that they would be, the atmosphere they would be in, the gravity and everything else. They had prepared again and again and again and again and again exactly what it would be like when they were on the moon. Exactly. The suit they would be wearing, how you would pick up something from the surface of the moon, everything. I mean, it was done again and again and again and again and again, as though they had already been on the moon. What would have happened if they are told, okay, you 3 astronauts must go to the moon, but they are not prepared. They haven't practiced. They don't know really what it's like. They would die. They would die. They are not prepared for the future. So as I was explaining this to the people on the last Zoom, I said, you must be prepared as to how you're going to walk across stage when you get recognized at that rank that you want to be at. When you sit down at a luncheon table, you must be prepared that people are going to ask you what your rank is, and they're going to be impressed with your rank, and they're going to say, oh, we've got some questions for you. You must do everything to prepare for the future, just as a little kid prepares what they're going to do in Disney World. They know what time they're going to get there. They know what rides are going to go on first. They've got it all planned. I mean, if you've been around kids, and all of you have had kids, when they plan on going someplace, they got the details of what they're going to do when they're there. It could be going to a place where there's a beautiful waterfall. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in from this side. They prepare. They get pictures of it. So we must prepare for the future. You're going to be asked at some meeting, please tell your story. Why don't you write your story out right now? What you're going to say when you're recognized at that new rank at some Shackley event. Everything you can do to prepare. Understand how a master coordinator talks and how a director talks. And like this lady said, I was listening to and went to Mindset of a Master, and she said, boy, it's really clear. She said, I want to know how a master coordinator talks. Well, master coordinators ask a lot of questions and gather a lot of information. Directors give a lot of information, and they say a lot. They start telling people what to do. Master coordinator never makes a statement. They get permission for everything. Now, a person can be a master coordinator and they're talking like a director. But to get there, they probably talk differently. So when somebody says, I like a catalog, is it okay if I drop a catalog off tomorrow? It's with permission. Many people, if they would role play, they would hear themselves saying things, making statements, and not asking everything in question format and getting permission. You must see yourself in that role. How would you feel if you're making an income of over $20,000 extra a month? Why not prepare a budget right now as to what you're going to do with the money? Put that budget in detail on the refrigerator. Prepare for the future. Here's the detriment of not preparing for the future. We then zero in on the present. And we're not looking for diamonds in our own backyard. So as an example, in giving a meeting in the Atlanta area this weekend, the couple hosting the meeting thought there would be more people than what they had. They had about 5 people. They thought they would have more. And you could tell with the looks on their faces that they were upset. Those people who said they were going to come and called the last minute and didn't come, they were upset. And yet, I know there were 3 people there who would love to have an in-home presentation. And I know definitely 2 of them are basically saying, we want to get going in the business. And they heard it, but they didn't hear it. Otherwise, they would have asked questions of these people. What are you thinking? But no, they were still upset about the people who didn't come. Now, if they had a big vision and really focused on their vision because they want to make a 6-figure income, and they would understand what they're going to be doing, their lifestyle, she wouldn't be working anymore, he probably wouldn't be working anymore at this job, they would have a clear picture. They wouldn't have gotten upset about the fact that these people didn't show. They would have put all their attention into the people who were there. And they still couldn't do it while I was there. And so the next day, talked to them on the phone and helped them to understand that they did not have a good vision casting because they were so focused on the present. That's like a farmer going out there and just throwing out a bunch of seeds and they don't know what they want to harvest. So those are the 2 things. We must be coachable, and we must have great clarity as to the future, which Bouchard talked about, and I've talked about many times. We must have more details of the future than of the present. And what holds people back, of course, is the thinking. Nothing else. Because most people can talk, most people can drive a car, most people know people. It's the thinking. So I'm working with a couple right now, downline in the group. They'll probably never get a paid a dime for it because they're so far in the group, but I know it's going to stimulate a lot of people up above. So there's a process and there's a strategy as to why we're doing this. But I had a chance to talk to the wife about a month ago, and I felt she'll probably listen. So the next step was to talk to her husband, and I talked to the husband, and he was very supportive, but he now says, I want to be in. I want to be in. I had a chance of meeting with them and their team in Las Vegas, and they really enjoyed that and got a lot out of it. And I said, okay, based on the feeling I'm getting, you can become a key coordinator in the next 12 months. They right now are at coordinator. So they would pass senior coordinator, executive coordinator, and go into key coordinator, all because of their thinking. And I'm more and more convinced of that, because I said to the husband, I will talk to a couple more people in your group. I will talk and we'll get a couple more guys involved, possibly. But if you get 2 more guys involved in your business, because it's all women, then you will become a key coordinator in 12 months. If you don't, it's probably going to be 3 years. If the businesses were all men, I would say you got to get some women involved. And so simple things like this. And we set up a 3-way call with somebody on health issues. And she said, how about if we do a Zoom? And I said, no, we don't want to do a Zoom. It's a 3-way call on the phone. And she said, okay, I'll take your lead. Whatever it takes. That told me she's very coachable. I said, can I explain why? Is because many times people are more concerned about how they look and they don't ask questions and they don't get into it until you get acquainted with them. So I said, the first one is a call on the phone. She said, oh, that makes sense. Tonight, she and her husband are doing an in-home presentation. If I had not talked to the husband, he would not be doing the in-home presentation. He'd be home taking care of the kids. I mean, that right there saves an incredible amount of time, because if she does a presentation, then everybody there is going to say it's a woman's business. If he were doing the presentation, then people would say it's a guy's business. Pretty simple. And she has something like in September 4 or 5 in-homes already set up, and she maybe has only done 1 in-home. They've done some smoothie parties and things like this, but never a full-blown in-home, because they never talked about the business. So I said, you must get a whiteboard, and explain to her about how to use that at the in-home that they're going to have this evening. And then tomorrow, I want to know exactly everything about everybody that was there and what happened in details, so I can help them to get better. So being they're coachable and they're willing to expand a big vision, it's my job to help them with that vision. So I will be asking them questions like, what are you going to do to reward yourself when you become a key? You want to go to Europe? What are you going to do? Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic. What they would do to reward themselves. So now they're going to put, I don't know, maybe they're not interested in that. Maybe it's going to the Bahamas or something, but they will put pictures of where they want to go when they're key coordinators as a reward on the refrigerator. That saves about a year of time right there. And because they're going to be so productive and be creative and getting answers. There was a person who came to the meeting in Atlanta, and Heather, you probably recall, Nange. And she's not afraid of the future. So since that meeting, she has set up 4 3-way calls already, 4 or 5. And we no more than do one. And Laura Evans is downline under Laura Evans. And she says she wants to do another one. She's got another one and another one. And I told Laura, I said, okay, she is so confident and she's not afraid of success. Then I said, make certain she gets the DVD on an in-home presentation and she can start doing them. She doesn't have to see anymore. And I know she will. So that's strategy. But it all boils down to one being coachable and are we willing to cast a vision for ourselves in order to help other people to cast a vision? One of the people I did a three-way call with was from Texas. The lady had a lot of health issues, and this is one that this lady set up. And this person was a school teacher, and she's a lot of health issues, sick issues. But she's been a teacher for 23 years, and she's still teaching. And so, yes, I talked about things that I would do if I had her health issues or sick issues. But I also said, can I tell you something? With permission again, for whatever it's worth. Yeah. You know, what we do is help a lot of kids with ADD. And she said, oh, the classroom is filled with them. And I said, you know, a few years ago, perhaps it wasn't the same. She said, yeah, 20 years ago, it might be 2 kids in the school on medication every day. Now, she said, I've got 22 kids in the classroom, and 9 of them are on constant medication every day. Almost half. Used to be about 20%, 25%. And I think we're going to find that it's closer to half now. We started checking around. Well, she came unglued because now she's starting to think of all these people or kids that she could help by talking to the parents. I helped her cast a vision, not just for her own health. Most directors are focused on how they can help that person to better health. And that's good, but they don't cast a vision. And I cast a vision for that lady, and I never said anything about the business. But she's thinking of all these kids who could have help, and her heart is bleeding for it. Because we had a good discussion about it and what's happening to kids today and their health and so on. So if I have not cast a vision, then it's going to be difficult for seeing the opportunity to help other people cast a vision. And what I said, okay, here's what must be done. Send her the writing skills of the kid with ADD. She'll go ballistic. Just, that's strategy. That's strategy. And so setting up in-homes, like the couple in, I don't know, South Dakota, I guess they are. I've got all these in-homes. They have skin cares all lined up. I went over with her about make certain, have you used the clay mask for people? She said, no, we just have it there for people to look at. I said, okay, you use the dark clay mask because people feel their skin looks the best when they use that. Put it on just a small part on their face, but while it's drying, show the writing skills. Because then there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, I got a child with ADD, or I got a friend with, I mean, you can't help but have people talk about people they know that have sick kids, or they have sick kids. Incredible. Incredible. I just talked to another lady today, and when I was in the restaurant talking to her over a week ago, and she said, I used to use Shackley many years ago, and she said she's going to start using it again. But then she started telling me about her sister, and I may have mentioned this on the previous Zoom, that has AFib and so on. And I started telling her about what many people are deficient in and why AFib is caused. And she said, oh, she held her phone up and she says, okay, please explain that to me right now. She made a video of it. I just talked to her today, and she tells me about her daughter is 34 years of age. She's on depressants. She can't cope with things. She's got all kinds of things wrong with her. And she said, I have been showing that video to all my relatives. And she said their mouths are wide open. And so we're going to have a three-way call, maybe this weekend, with her sister who got out of the hospital after having AFib and has a heart monitor. They're all over the place. But if I'm casting a vision for myself, I can cast a vision for other people. Marilyn, what are you thinking?
Well, I think that's a great idea. And I think that
all that's in front of me yet to schedule and to get done. I do have one in-home scheduled for the end of September. On Thursday, I will be setting up another one with a lady. This thing with the school that you mentioned about, while we were actually at convention, my one downline, Mary, she called me and she wanted a couple of things from me. So we arranged to get that taken care of for her because she had just started back to work, which was in a school. And she was already talking to people and sharing with people and doing what she should do, which it was very thrilling. And so we've got that going. There's just a lot. I can't wait to do the skin cares. Right now, that's where my heart really lies. I love doing the in-homes, but now I want to get that skin care, the new parts that we have to go along with it. And so that's what I'm hoping this one on Thursday will end up being, is a skincare event.
Very good. Very good. And I feel the challenge is when you do a skincare, you're going to inspire people so much that you will set up an in-home for husband and wife to come. Because when you show the writing skills, many people start saying, well, is there anything for high blood pressure? My husband has high blood pressure. Well, I've got some grandchildren that have got this and this and this. That leads to an in-home. That has been the best formula. And then from there, you lead to skin cares. And from the skin cares, you lead to in-homes. That's the goal. That works very, very well. So Heather, you were at the presentation in the Atlanta area. And of course, you know, you have a firecracker there with you. And so he had a good friend that was there. And I don't know, they were both kind of impressive to me and what they're thinking. Any comments on that?
Yeah. So yeah, for those who don't know, I took my 17-year-old son to an in-home that Roland did anyway, Laura's downline. And he's got a 19-year-old friend who's super entrepreneurial. So he went along too. And they were both very impressed and eager. I know that the 19-year-old has already spoken with his dad, and we're just waiting to get some times to do a three-way with you. And he's got all kinds of ideas. His dad's a coach of several different basketball teams, and we can talk to this network and this network. And so and he's the kind of young man who just goes all in with whatever he does. So anyway, that's exciting. Yep.
Okay, so I have two questions for you with his friend that he had there.
Okay.
Do you think he would be coachable based on what you've talked with him? Do you think he'd be coachable?
Yes, I do. I mean, I just, I met him Saturday when I picked him up to go to the meeting, but I had, 2 hours in the car with him. So he seems very coachable.
Okay.
Yep.
And I believe he would be, and therefore it's very important to stress to him at this point that he must be coachable. And therefore that means you want to know how he's talking to his dad.
Okay.
Because for him to say, I'm going to talk to my dad, but if he doesn't say it correctly, he could turn his dad off. Mm-hmm. He's thinking of other coaches. How does he plan on talking to these other coaches? These are questions I would ask. Mm-hmm. Because then you will hear, well, I'm going to go to them and tell them I've got something that's really good. I'm excited about it. Mm-hmm. That's not the way to do it.
Right.
So this is where, before people start going down a rabbit trail and not communicating correctly, if they're coachable, this is the time to help them to communicate correctly. Mm-hmm. And so I believe he would be, but he doesn't realize the importance of being coached even to the point of how you're going to talk to that coach. Can you tell me about the coach? How do you know the coach? What are you going to say? And then you can help him to say, okay, this is how you approach the coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you approach your dad. He doesn't go to his dad and say, Dad, I got to tell you something. You should hear about this. He goes to his dad and says, what do you think of this? It's got to be with a question.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the coaching comes in. The other question is, how do you feel about him having a big vision?
Well, he finished, he read Richard's book in a day, and, he of course saw the income, flyer in there. And his comment to Ian was, hey, Ian, we're going all the way to presidential master. So,
Okay.
Anyway.
So how can you help him with that vision?
Well, at this point, I'm just kind of waiting for him to hit the ball back. I've been in touch with him a couple times this week, and I don't feel like I can shove him. Today I contacted him and just said, hey, have you been able to get some dates? So at this point, yeah, I'm waiting for him to hit the ball back, I guess.
Okay, so he must learn what coaching means. Otherwise, he's going to have problems. And that's a very, very vital thing. Then you can help him with the vision.
Okay.
Now, do you know what his mother does?
She works with like Warner Brothers in California. I'm not exactly sure what she does.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, he was telling me about how his dad hates his job.
Right.
And
Yep.
works hard every day.
Mm-hmm.
So he may have been brought up, even though he's talking a bigger picture, he may have been brought up that to make an income, you really have to struggle. So therefore, it becomes the job of making certain he understands really what it means to be an entrepreneur in this business.
Well, I will tell you, his comment to me was, his mom, he mostly grew up with his mom, and
Okay.
she always taught him to be willing to work hard for what he wanted to do and so forth. Well, of course, here's his dad who struggles through his work and hates it and all that. And he said, I don't know, for me, I've just always been like, you know what? If I don't love something, I'm not going to keep doing it, because I'm going to only focus on what I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, he started blogging when he was 12. So he has like hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank since he was a young teenager. And just, anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it's just been really savvy. So anyway, yeah, I don't think he feels like he has to work hard. I think he feels like he has to work smartly.
Mm-hmm.
Doing
So
stuff.
therefore, there'd be a lot of questions to be asked to find out better where his thinking is and help him prepare for the future. And it is all based on him being very coachable. And he has to understand what coaching means, because
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, you would say, I want to know who you're going to talk to so you can learn the skills of communication. After you've talked to them, then I want to know what you've said to them.
Okay.
So now's the time to get in charge of the coaching. And of course, I believe your son has picked up, a lot of things over the years and has a basic understanding of Shackley. And so once they both understand what their future is going to look like with Shackley, they will motivate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so the possibilities for them doing very, very well in Shackley are very great. And they, of course, because of their thinking, now that they have two, if they get a third one to join,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be dynamite. Because they will attract all kinds of kids their age.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the danger is when you attract kids, they want to jump off the cliff. They want to do crazy things. And so you've got to get them as coaches. They will say things like, well, I just want to text. I just want to text. I don't want to talk to anybody personally.
Yeah.
And they must understand, if that's what you want to do, fine, but you will never, ever have a big, strong business.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get control. Grab them by the ear and say, no, it's not going to work that way.
Right.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Other comments or questions on this? These two things are key. How do you expand or extend the vision for somebody else? Maybe it's an invitation to take them for dinner at a certain location, certain restaurant, when they make a certain rank. I don't know. Something that they can put on their board and picture of the restaurant. I don't know. Maybe it's a shopping spree. Doesn't have to be a lot, but it's helping with the vision. How can you help people with the vision? Who else?
Roland, I wanted to jump in here. There's been
Please, thank you.
what a great call. So far, it's a great call. The vision thing, it's just amazing. So I've got two things I want to relate to the call and then a question for you. The first thing is when you talk about vision, I think I talked to you about this a couple of years ago. I was privileged to be with an interview with a guy named DeMarcus Ware, who is a very accomplished, famous football player. And he was being interviewed by somebody who was asking him about the next game and his vision. And he said, of course I have the next game in mind. But what I have in mind, where my mind is the parade from winning the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The feel of the confetti on my face.
Oh my goodness.
The feeling. Okay. And I learned so much from this man in this interview about vision. And it just relates back to what we're doing. And if we don't have a vision that is so far beyond where our thoughts are, we'll never go beyond that point. And that's how you get to there. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I heard something here in the last few minutes that I'm sure has been said before, but somehow I missed it. And it was learning/understanding what coaching means. Are you coachable? Oh yeah, I'm coachable. Okay. Boy, right over the top of my head. Okay. Digging deeper, finding out, are you really coachable? Do you understand what it means? Boy, that is so important. That is so important. So that got written on my sheet. So then the question I have for you relates to a meeting I had today. Now, this is a gal I met with a couple of weeks ago before conference. We met and I asked her, I said, you want to take a look? Sure, I'll take a look. So I sent her to the video, taking a look video. And she looked at it. She said, yeah, I'd like more information. We met. We had coffee. We talked a lot. She loves Shackley products. She's used them as a retail customer from someone else that has never talked to her about the business for years. And so I talked to her, and she said, yeah, I'm really interested. I gave her the book. We went to conference. We finally got together back today. And she says, salesperson. I said, really? Why is in that? And they all on their social media are all, I want to know how their kids are doing. I don't want to hear about the next latest and greatest thing. And that's all I hear from these friends. And I don't want to have parties at my house and invite people over so that they feel obligated to buy something. And I did my best to explain that that's not how we did it, but I feel I came up short. Coach, how do you look at that? Help me out here.
You didn't ask questions.
I asked a lot of questions.
But you were trying to explain. You cannot explain unless you do it with questions.
Okay.
Because she has some hurt feelings or things have happened in the past why she said that. So the questions would be, how would you feel about having people who really, really want to know about what you have?
Back to the
So we
feelings.
must be careful about what we try to explain. If we do it with questions, we're going to get a lot better results.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's a good question. And going back to the coaching, Steve, the questions I ask people, number of the questions, and you want to spend 10, 15 minutes on coaching. It's that vital. Why do we just ask a question? Yeah, I want to be coached. That's like asking somebody, you want to make some money at Shackley? Yeah, well, let's get going. Same thing. So how do you feel about constructive input? What do you think constructive input would be? How would you feel if I hear the way you're communicating with people, we want to change this to be productive? How will you feel if you contact me every time you're going to talk to somebody? And after you've talked to them, you contact me because I want to go over the details of it. And this is not going to happen forever. But if you want to have the benefits that you've been looking at, and I just repeat what they've said because I want to find out what they want, then that's what is necessary to get you to get the right communication, get the right focus. How do you feel about role playing and recording yourself? So how do you feel, because you mentioned about texting some people, how do you feel if you make phone calls instead? So it's always about how you feel. And then, can I explain coaching? I'm not a dictator, and I don't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what's going to work. And do you feel that I have your interest, your best interest at heart? Do you feel that I want to help you? Do you feel that I have confidence in you when I say I believe you can do that? How will you feel if I point out some things that are holding you back that you may not even be aware of? Coaching is that important so that we must get people to understand it, because their interpretation of coaching is generally totally different than what works. And maybe I can compare it to sports. I mean, the coach is taking care of every detail. I mean, in football, professional football, they have a diagram of the last play that was run. It's printed off. They can look at it right now. And the coach or the assistant coach is saying, okay, you should have gone over here instead. Can you see that? This is where you went. This is a line. It's immediate. So why do I wait 3 weeks? This is why some people with coaching, it's once a week. We have a coaching call. That's okay, but I want to know what your in-home was like last night. I don't want to wait a week, because everything is fresh on your mind and we've got to move quickly. Just like today, with this three-way that we did. I said, okay, Laura, send 2 sheets on the writing skills, just those 2. The 10-year-old. 1 week later, just send those. We got to act quickly. Waiting for a week and then we have a coaching call. I mean, you can't do it. I don't think. I can't do it. We lose time. And so that's the other thing. You've got to decide whether you want to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means telling some people some tough stuff. Like on the last Zoom that I was on, this is a new person, single mom with 2 kids, and she won't be listening to this, so I can say these things. She's probably in her 30s, and the oldest boy is 12. And she really is into wanting to do Shackley. This is what I want to do, the philosophy. I mean, she went on for 32 minutes. And it was supposed to be a role play whereby we go through the normal stuff with me, and I'd be asking her questions and so on. I said, do you have any questions? She said, no. And she went on for another 10 minutes. And I finally had to cut her off by asking other people, did anybody else have any questions? So she didn't have any questions, and I didn't say anything. I could have said, well, can I tell you how it works? But I didn't want to embarrass her and tell her, you'll never build a business, which it would have to come to, because you don't know how to keep your mouth shut. I would have said it nicer than that, of course. But she went on for 32 minutes. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I will tell the upline sales leader, make certain that they get the message. She's got to understand what coaching is, and she must understand that she cannot talk like she's talking. She'll never build a business. And of course, the people upline to her, for first of all, inspired by her excitement, her creativity, thinking, oh, this girl's going to go someplace, and she's not going to go anyplace, not continuing doing what she's doing. Now, I don't know if they'll have the nerve to tell her. But they've got to find a tactful way of telling her that you must ask questions and you must learn how to become a listener, and you cannot talk like you're talking, telling everybody what to do. So the question is, you got to decide whether you want to be a coach. But if you're not a coach, it's going to be difficult building an organization.
You know what I picked up out of that, besides wanting to be a coach, is I related exactly what you're talking about to what, especially in the last 2 versions of Richard Brooks' teachings, in where he's talking about feelings paint a picture.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our mind thinks in pictures, and feelings become motivation.
Yes.
Okay. And without the feelings, and unless we ask the right words that become feelings, we don't get the motivation to do something that we ordinarily would not do.
That is so beautiful. That is perfect. That's right. It's all based on feelings. That's why I keep asking people, how will you feel about this?
God, I got to put that into my life. I have to put that into my everyday
you said
speaking.
What? You said what?
I must.
Okay. I thought you said.
Yeah, that's what I said. I must put that into my everyday verbiage. I mean, it must become as natural as taking a breath.
Yep.
Feeling.
Because people like to talk about their feelings. Like this gal who went on for 32 minutes is all about feelings. That's what it's all about. You know, I feel that basically I want to help other people. I believe in the philosophy, which is a feeling. It's all about feelings. 32 minutes. People love to talk about feelings. Except she talked too much.
But feelings make you cry.
Yeah.
Feelings make you smile. Feelings make you laugh. Feelings bring you to places that you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Places you want to go. Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, I tell you. And the other thing is, if I have feelings for the future and I picture myself on the moon with this business, I will have an energy that will attract people all over the place. Like I was talking to somebody today, and just talking to her for a few minutes, I said, "You have a lot of energy, don't you?" And she said, "Yeah, I guess I do." Energy people attract people, but if we're dead, and I think Dick can relate to this, if we're dead in the world, or if we're dead in our spiritual feeling, nobody's going to be attracted to us. You got to have the energy. God gave us great energy. And all we can do is look at our feet. Say, poor old me. And boy, those people are not fun to be around. So aspiration for the future and picturing the future gives kids energy. If you want to go to your friend's house this weekend, the lawn has to be raked. They've got energy. Isn't it amazing how kids have energy to do things they want to do that they feel is going to have a good feeling? And so we as adults are the same way. You know, a lot of people say to me, I do an in-home that's a distance away, and they say, "You going back tonight?" And I say, "Yeah." I don't particularly like driving, but I have good energy for it because I've got a great picture. It's the picture that makes the driving okay. And I'm not a fan of driving. But going down to Atlanta, almost 4 hours, give the meeting, come back home, 8 hours driving. I don't even think about it. And then the next day I had to go up north. What was it? 5 hour drive one way to meet somebody up in Indianapolis. It's the picture. It's the picture. It's the picture that gives us energy. And if we do not have the picture, we have low energy and we will be more tired. Because good energy fuels every cell in my body to have more energy to take care of things during the day. But negative people are seemingly tired all the time, and they're always talking about how they're tired all the time. And poor old me. And they drain themselves of good energy by talking that way because they don't have a clear picture of the future. That's energizing. Ian has a picture of the future. That's why he's like a rabbit. He can hardly control himself. Incredible energy. And so it's so much fun working with people with good energy, with the products as well. How do you feel if somebody says, "Well, you got to die sometime"? Well, I don't think it's going to work. I've tried everything out there. They have low energy, and they drain you of energy. That's why we must protect our energy. And so I want to work with people who have good energy and people who do not have extended goals are not fun to be around, and they don't have good energy. I think it was George Burns who was on the Tonight Show many years ago, and he was in his 90s, and he just took out a loan for 20 years to buy some property. And I mean, it was just fun listening to the guy. He was just a ball of energy. And those are the people who enjoy life, and other people enjoy being around them. Have you ever been in a room where somebody walks in and they have a lot of energy? They just light up the room. You want to be around them. And so I work on my energy. And therefore, I'm very careful about how much news I get into. Looking at the news. I've got to protect that energy. And I want to do affirmations to keep with that energy. And I want to focus on my goals to keep that energy. I owe it to other people to have good energy. We could have a whole discussion on energy. It is big, very, very important. Comments? What are you thinking? Andre, what are you thinking?
I was a little late getting into the call, but this is, I think, a stellar call. Wow. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, everybody, for contributing. I mean, we think activity before we think energy.
That's true.
I got to get this person excited, which may produce some energy, but it's temporary. I've got to get them active. And activity does not mean good energy. You can be on the chain gang and putting out a lot of activity, but it doesn't mean you have good energy.
Roland,
Yeah.
Brendan Bouchard talked about the physiology, working
Mm,
on your physiology. And we know that Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. And
yes.
that's something I've really sort of taken to heart,
Mhm.
you know, looking at my physiology, not spending hours on end in one location, getting up, moving around, you know, doing stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Working on energy, and also when we're doing talks with people on their health, helping them with energy. How do you think you would help somebody with energy that's got migraine headaches?
Positivity,
Maybe.
maybe. The thing that that dawned on me in this last discussion with you two was activity to get energy is backwards. Energy will bring activity.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, good energy and the activity will follow. Whereas we can have activity, and we can build a little energy, but then it drops.
Mm-hmm.
But the energy will bring activity.
Okay, very good. It does. How can you help a person with migraines to have more energy?
Protein, vitamin, and B complex.
Well, getting on some supplements, yes. More energy in their thinking might happen.
Would you like to feel better?
Yeah, would you like to feel better?
Another thing would be, excuse me. Oh shoot, I had it in my head.
I would say, oh, sorry.
You would say what, Linda? Kind of muffled out there.
I would say helping them have their vision. If you expand their vision, that's going to expand their energy, and that's going to change what's going on as far as being positive or negative, having a different outlook by having a different vision.
I think you're right on. I know you're right on track, because the lady the other day that I talked to, or maybe today, that she says she gets migraines every day. She gets very serious headaches every day. And I said, can I ask you something? How would it feel if you didn't have any more headaches? Oh, that'd be so wonderful. We don't guarantee that, but how would you feel? Oh, what can I do? The focus on the future.
This reminds me of a
question, what would I do? I want activity.
Steve and I ran into a couple of women at the airport in Las Vegas, and they were going to Seattle. Their plane was delayed because of the smoke. So they'd been sitting at the airport for quite a while. They had a 2-year-old with them, which is really not fun. And they'd had a pretty horrible hotel experience. in the where they stayed, where somebody tried to break into their room. They were traumatized, and they were telling me this story. And the mother of the 2-year-old is a lawyer, so they're good. They got, she knows what she's going to do, but they were pretty strung out, and I just carry stress relief with me all the time. And so I was talking to them about how they were feeling right now. And because I could see them as they're telling the story, they're getting worked up about it again. So I said, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I've got a natural product that I take when I'm strung out like that. And it really helps me. And it works really fast. Here's the bottle. You can look at the bottle. If you're interested, go ahead and take one. I said, it takes me maybe 20 minutes or so. So they both the women took one. I looked over at this lawyer lady. It hadn't even hit her stomach. And she was so chilled out in the chair. She's laughing and giggling. It was like I gave her a drug. And I gave her the power of thought to go along with the pill. So she was actually feeling better before the pill hit her system, and the pill was going to sustain her. I got their information in Seattle, so I'll be in touch.
Very good. Very
Stress
good.
relief, the airport.
Andre?
Yeah, Roland, you said something just before Linda there that really sort of hit me. And if we could sort of go back to that. I'm a slow learner, so I'm not a slow learner. I'm a fast learner.
That's right.
I'm a fast learner. And yeah, change that language, man. And usually people, like the lady with the migraine that you were talking about, usually people want to say, well, how much do I have to take? But if their energy level is at a different vibration, they're willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So because we must, no need to here, but we must get people away from the have to.
Absolutely.
I have to do this. And if you can raise their vibration to the going to, they're more likely to get results, and they're more likely to take more stuff that they need.
That's right. Need to and have to are low energy.
Yes.
Going to is high energy. And here's one other thing before we end. This has been a great call or Zoom. And that is you raise a person's energy by complimenting them.
Okay.
When you ask questions, you are, in a sense, complimenting them as well because you're giving them the dignity. And that's why when I start a three-way call with somebody, I've complimented them on something several times before we get into anything. So I can help to raise their energy and their focus, and they're going to be more receptive with higher energy. Lower energy, they're going to be less receptive. That's like the person who says, well, you're going to die sometime, my doctor said, and so on. So we are in the business of helping people to raise their energy, but I've got to raise my energy and know how to keep it up there. Okay. Thanks for being on. This has been good. It'll be recorded, and it is recorded, and it will be sent out.
Great call.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Roland.
You bet. Have a good weekend.
Hey, Roland.
Yeah.
Roland, can I call you in just a second?
Yep.
Okay, I'll give you a buzz.
Okay.